Money. We chase it, we use it, and we depend on it every single day. But how much do we really understand about it? Schools teach us history, math, and literature, but they rarely teach us how money works. Most people are trained to earn money, but not how to make money work for them. That is the central lesson in Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the most influential personal finance books of all time. First published in 1997, it has sold millions of copies worldwide and continues to inspire people to rethink their relationship with money. The book is built around the contrast between Kiyosaki's two father figures. His biological father, whom he calls his poor dad, was well-educated, hard-working, and believed in traditional paths to success. Study hard, get a stable job, and climb the ladder. His friend's father, whom he calls his rich dad, was a successful entrepreneur who never finished school but understood money, investing, and wealth building on a deeper level. From these two men, Kiyosaki absorbed very different lessons about work, risk, and opportunity. The wisdom of his rich dad eventually guided him toward financial independence, while his poor dad's mindset reflected the struggles many people face. Welcome to 10-Minute Books, the channel where we break down the world's most powerful books into practical lessons you can absorb in just 10 minutes. Today, we're diving into Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, a book about shifting your mindset, building assets, and escaping the rat race. Let's break down the key lessons. Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. Most people work to earn a paycheck. They trade time for money, then use that money to pay bills, often leaving little left over. Poor Dad followed this cycle, believing in job security above all. But Rich Dad flipped the perspective. Don't work for money, make money work for you. This doesn't mean avoiding work. It means using work as a tool to build skills, knowledge, and opportunities that lead to financial freedom. Instead of relying on a paycheck, learn to create income from investments, businesses, and assets that generate money whether you are working or not. Lesson 2. Financial education is essential. Kiyosaki argues that the single greatest factor separating the rich from everyone else is financial literacy. Schools don't teach it, and most families don't either. Poor Dad had a PhD but struggled financially. Rich Dad had little formal education but became wealthy because he understood money. Financial education means knowing the difference between assets and liabilities, understanding cash flow, recognizing the impact of taxes, and learning how to invest. Without this knowledge, people spend their lives working harder, while those with it learn to leverage money for growth. Lesson 3. Asset versus liabilities. This is the heart of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. It sounds simple, but many people get it wrong. Most families think their house is an asset. But if the house constantly costs money through mortgage payments, maintenance, insurance, and taxes, it's more of a liability unless it generates rental income. True assets include things like businesses, rental properties, stocks that pay dividends, bonds, royalties, or intellectual property. The poor and middle class accumulate liabilities disguised as assets, bigger houses, new cars, credit card debt. The rich focus on building assets that generate passive income. Over time, this difference creates a massive wealth gap. Lesson 4. The rat race. The rat race is the cycle of working, earning, spending, and then working again just to keep up with bills. Many people think a higher salary will free them, but often it just leads to more spending, bigger mortgages, nicer cars, more debt. Rich Dad taught Kiyosaki that the only way out of the rat race is to build enough assets to cover your expenses. Once your passive income equals or exceeds your lifestyle costs, you no longer depend on a paycheck. That is financial freedom. Lesson 5. Mindset and fear. Fear is one of the greatest barriers to wealth. Poor Dad feared risk and preferred the security of a paycheck. Rich Dad taught that failure is part of learning. The wealthy don't avoid risk. They manage it through education and preparation. Kiyosaki emphasizes that fear of losing money keeps many people trapped. But the reality is, you can't grow without taking calculated risks. Every investor, entrepreneur, or wealthy individual has faced losses. The key is learning from mistakes and moving forward. Lesson 6. Work to learn, not just to earn. Poor Dad encouraged studying hard to get a stable career. Rich Dad encouraged working to acquire skills sales, marketing, negotiation, leadership, and investing. A salary may feed you today, but skills feed you for a lifetime. Kiyosaki himself worked in different jobs, not for the paycheck, but for the lessons. Learning how to sell, how to manage a business, and how to spot opportunities gave him the tools to eventually achieve financial freedom. Lesson 7. Taxes and the rules of the game. Kiyosaki points out that the rich use the system to their advantage. Employees pay the highest taxes, but businesses and investors have access to tax advantages that reduce their burden and increase their returns. Rich Dad taught him to study the rules of money corporations, investments, and legal strategies so he could play the game more effectively. Lesson 8. Overcoming excuses. Many people avoid financial education with excuses. I'm not good with numbers. Investing is too risky, or I don't have enough money to start. Rich Dad dismissed excuses as mental traps. He believed the real difference between rich and poor is not resources, but mindset. Ask not, can I afford this? But instead, how can I afford this? That shift opens possibilities. Lesson 9. Take action. Reading books and attending seminars won't make you rich unless you act. Many people gather information, but never apply it. Rich Dad emphasized learning by buying a small investment property, starting a side business, or even just practicing financial discipline. Action creates experience, and experience creates wisdom. Lesson 10. Money is a tool, not a goal. Finally, Kiyosaki reminds us that money itself is not the goal. The goal is freedom, the ability to control your time, follow your passions, and support the life you want. Money is simply the tool that makes that possible. Modern relevance. Even though Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written over 25 years ago, its lessons are more relevant today than ever. Rising debt, unstable job markets, inflation, and rapid technological change make financial literacy essential. Those who depend only on paychecks and traditional security struggle. Those who build assets, develop financial education, and act boldly thrive. Criticism and balance. Critics argue that Kiyosaki oversimplifies investing or makes it sound easy. And yes, not everyone will succeed just by reading this book. But Kiyosaki's true message is not about quick riches, it's about mindset. He challenges readers to stop thinking like employees and start thinking like owners, to stop chasing paychecks and start building systems that create wealth over time. The big takeaway. Rich Dad, Poor Dad teaches us that wealth isn't about how much you earn, but how you think about money. Poor Dad worked for money. Rich Dad made money work for him. Poor Dad believed in education for job security. Rich Dad believed in financial education for freedom. Poor Dad feared risk. Rich Dad embraced it as part of growth. The book's core message is simple but life-changing. Focus on acquiring assets, controlling liabilities, continually learning, and taking action. Build streams of income that give you freedom from the paycheck cycle. So the question is, are you working for money, or is your money working for you? That was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, broken down in under 15 minutes. Which of Kiyosaki's lessons resonates most with you? The power of assets, escaping the rat race, or overcoming fear? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this summary, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly breakdowns of life-changing books. Thanks for watching, and remember, financial freedom begins with financial education.